Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to America's Third Party.
Hi, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful 2014.
Well, we had a weird 2013, Sarah. I'm David John Sponheim, running for president in 2016. Here we are in 2013. And the concept of a country that is going to build a third party is becoming more and more real to Americans every day. We've seen lie after lie coming out of the Barack Obama administration. And the most recent one is about Obamacare, where he said that people with pre-existing conditions would keep their health care coverage, and 4 million people were cut.
Yeah, and I think they might have given a slight extension for some people. And now the insurance companies are like, why are you giving an extension? And they had cut not just people with pre-existing conditions, but all kinds of people.
Wow.
And then he's claiming, oh, it's only once you get into Obamacare, not your current coverage, you won't be able to keep.
And he claims that that's not what he meant. You know, he doesn't admit he lied. He basically claims now that he didn't mean that. This guy dances around denying that he ever says a lie when he's been lying incessantly. And I just said earlier that a guy on a blog actually recorded 387 lies coming out of Barack Obama's administration and the Congress at the same time. We've got a corrupt Congress. We've got the two-party system. They can't agree on the budget. We're going to be facing another deadline with another major default on the national debt. And the same thing plays over and over again like a broken record, and we are slipping as a nation. Now, in the news today, however, all these propaganda stories are popping up.
Or at least from Russia Today has some things.
Yeah, there's a few things. Investors cheer record-setting year on Wall Street.
Now Apple denies knowledge of NSA hacking the phones.
Right. Apple denies a knowledge of NSA hacking the phones. You know, if any company didn't know about NSA, it would be Apple. They're the only company that has their own cash and didn't rely on government funding like Google, Facebook, and Microsoft. Until Steve Jobs died. Apple is one of the few companies I think could very well have not known. But there's all this propaganda about the economy doing better, house prices rise again, but the pace could be slow. We're reading disinformation every day.
The White House says now they're denying that they had a goal of enrolling 7 million people in Obamacare, even though they
really?
had said that they, repeatedly that. Kathleen Sebelius repeatedly said that as a mark. They're like, oh, we didn't hit that goal, so we don't have that as a goal.
Interesting.
We didn't ever have that.
We're going to look real quick here at the top 13 events, essentially, that were underreported in the news. And this is originally a story generated by RT, Russia Today. We're going to cover 13 different things that happened real quick here, and we're going to go through it one by one. Aaron Swartz died.
You want to expand it? You
Sure.
can cover me up if you want.
Well, I kind of want everyone to see this. They don't have to read it, but Aaron Swartz, the great guy that brought us Reddit, he passed away from what appeared to be a suicide, but his fiancée said he was in good spirits the day he died, not likely going to kill himself. He was ready to fight the case that could have put him in prison for 30 years on charges that even MIT said they were willing to drop, but for some reason the Justice Department wanted this guy gone. They definitely wanted him in prison. He came up with a Strongbox, the software that would have protected journalists' secret information from the NSA. This is the guy, the genius, that could have very well led the way toward a free and open press. But we're seeing that disappear slowly. We really are. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the Gitmo hunger strike. Did you even know it happened?
Well, in February, I did hear a little blurb about it, but it was very underreported.
Apparently, a lot of these men went on a major strike, sparked by disrespect for their belief in the Quran. 1 month into the strike, attorneys for the men, many housed the facility's infamous Camp 6, said the number of refusing food had already reached 100. That wasn't reported in the news. That's interesting. Mayflower oil spill. Wow. On March 29th, ExxonMobil's Pegasus pipeline burst near the town of Mayflower, Arkansas, flooding the town with the equivalent of about 10,000 barrels of crude oil. Wow.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear about
I didn't even know about that myself until just now. Categorized as a major spill by the EPA. But, Barack Obama has underplayed all of this stuff, just like the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. And then there was the Million Mask March. That's right. The event dubbed the Million Mass March was associated with the hacktivist Collective Anonymous and the Occupy movement working together. Apparently, it had a lot of people that didn't even reach the news. Moving on, we've got No Fracking Way. Apparently, on October 19th, fractivists from over 26 countries organized the global frackdown protest to demand an end to dangerous shale gas drilling. You know, that movie...
And then just yesterday, there was a big oil tanker that collided, a train collided that was carrying oil.
Oh, yeah, in the Bakken Fields in North Dakota. That was underreported, too. That's not even on the list. But yesterday in North Dakota, there was a massive train explosion blowing out millions of gallons of crude oil from the Bakken Fields in North Dakota, and you probably didn't even
make U.S. news. We found it through a French site. Through
a French affiliate, right. Another one, FBI kills Todeshev, friend of the Boston Marathon bombing suspect. Now, this is the guy that knew part of the group that was involved in the Boston Marathon bombing. The Sarnev brothers, Dzhokhar Sarnev knew this guy. He was apparently an unarmed Chechen man, was shot in the head during questioning over his suspected ties to the bombings. Now, his father produced a picture of his body with a bullet wound in the back of his head. He was shot 7 times, which shows me that Ibrahim Todeshev's autopsy
they tried to block the
was attempted to block. The government attempted to block the release of this, which showed clearly that he was executed for knowing too much. Now, there's a lot of people that think that the bombing itself was put on as another false flag operation. Whoops. That's us in the chat room. Okay, back to what we're doing here. The world marches against Monsanto and GMOs. Oh, yeah. This is serious.
It was like the mainstream media is like, they didn't even cover it. I mean, this was happening in Turkey, in Russia, Brazil, all over the world. There was 50 countries where people were protesting against GMO food. Speaking of GMO food, here in our state, they tried to, in 2013, they tried to pass a law that said that they would have to label all GMO food, and unfortunately it failed to pass.
Right. You know, the GMOs are doing a lot of work. You can handle that. The GMO people at Monsanto are doing a lot of work to poison our food, essentially. And the study that was showing that laboratory animals got tumors, that was just pulled from a major toxicology magazine because they claimed that the science wasn't good enough, when in fact it showed that GMOs cause tumors in laboratory animals. We're seeing the suppression of evidence by major corporations, the suppression of free speech by the NSA. Let's move on. War on Anonymous. Apparently online operations waged over the past year by the international dispersed band of hackers. I have a personal belief about this. I believe that the government's capable of getting into any group at this point, and I don't even trust this group at that point. Could you handle that? The trial of Chelsea Manning. Okay, if you're looking for proof that the mainstream media failed Army whistleblower Chelsea Manning, look no further. This is Bradley Manning with the new identity he has as a female. Not only was the 3-month military court-martial of Manning largely ignored by established media outlets, but the former private first class said while on the stand that her efforts to attract the attention of the press years earlier, before she turned to anti-secrecy organizations, were ignored as well. So people like Manning and Snowden probably tried other channels and were unable to get through until finally the breach in national security occurred, in which they revealed stories that were now shocking to the American people. And Assange's incarceration in Ecuador embassy reaches the 3rd anniversary. Okay. WikiLeaks won a court case that landed Visa with $1 million fines for its financial blockade of the site. He's still holding up in the Ecuador's London embassy. Okay, 3rd year of detention. I just don't even trust Wiki or anonymous stories anymore, because the government is so powerful they could easily implant people in these groups and have them flip information as disinformation. And then, of course, the Syrian Christians persecuted and forced to flee Malola. This wasn't reported in the news. Many people don't realize that the rebels that Barack Obama has been supporting and the French and English have been supporting in Syria actually kill, torture, and kidnap Christians. Believe it or not, it goes on. It's happening. A lot of these towns have become ghost towns, Mike Lulula, because people are afraid they're going to be killed, tortured by the rebels that are being funded by Barack
In
Obama.
Iran, they actually attacked certain Christians on Christmas Day.
And this was not reported because, as you know, we did an operation in Libya that pretty much is hush-hush, with Benghazi not being mentioned in the news. Libya mired in a spiral of violence and ongoing chaos. 2 years after the NATO-backed deposition of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, the country is in chaos. Now, this story doesn't fly in the mainstream media because the American people have been left in the dark on why Benghazi even happened, why Chris Stevens even died. And we just played a video just a second ago about how Barack Obama was saying that it's like a bump in the road. The death of a U.S. ambassador is like a bump in the road. He's never answered the questions about what's going on. Yes, Carl, we're not going to be responding to you right now because we're in a recording.
And then last is the carnage in Iraq. You know, it seems
Right.
like the mainstream media has just not talked about Iraq. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, we're out of there, we're done, and still people are suffering in that country.
You know, Prime Minister Maliki recently asked for more support, and Barack Obama is showing how incompetent he really is. He actually pulled our troops out and then is now sending them back in, or sending support into Iraq. Shows me that he should never have pulled out completely. It was a mistake, and I've said that from the beginning. We should have just slowly pulled out of Iraq so we could handle this whole process and how it was going to be handled long into the future. Okay, so to wrap things up for our Happy New Year show, and then we're going to do the actual countdown of the new year. We're actually going to count down the new year in just a few minutes, but just to wrap up this recorded video, I want everyone to know that 2014 is going to be a very strange year. The news will be all about how great the economy is, and the American people will be feeling the pinch even harder.
And of course, all the U.S. representatives will be running for re-election. Vote independent, vote third party, and have a happy new year.
And thank you for watching this recorded video.